One example is the importance attached to mental as opposed to physical health. You can look at how happy people are and look at what predicts their happiness, and you can see that mental health is an extraordinarily important predictor of a person's satisfaction with their life, and more important in many cases than a whole range of long-term physical conditions. And yet, if you look at how the health budget has been allocated, huge expenditure on long-term physical conditions relative to mental health. This is an example where we have been able to use this evidence to persuade the British government to up the expenditure on psychological treatments for mental illness.
So an example, a concrete one, would be National Citizen Service is being pushed in the UK. It's 30,000 young people will be doing it this year. It's not so dissimilar, of course, than models in the US and elsewhere. We've deliberately incorporated into that measures of subjective well-being. So there are lots of questions you might ask about such a program when you try and decide in a year or two's time, shall it be expanded even further? I mean, how many more 100 million should be spent on it? And there are questions about, well, what are the benefits that flow?
There's a lot of good, smaller work being done on measuring the values of amenities, like we were talking this morning about high-speed trains, aircraft noise, building new runways. And the work on that seems to suggest that these measures can be really useful. And I think since policymakers have so very weak guides already for valuing these things, anything that comes in off this agenda will really help make a difference to policy.
One of the things which we certainly didn't even have 2 or 3 years ago is we now have huge data sets which are growing of various kinds. So in the UK we have the National Survey, which is representative down to the local authority level. Cross-nationally you've got Gallup and World Value Survey data growing all the time. We have also new kinds of data, so mappiness, where people literally on their iPhones and smartphones are giving feedback on a sort of timely basis. So these are very, very rich new sources of data that enable us to unpick these questions in a way we've never been able to do before.
The whole idea of looking at people's behaviours and the impact on their well-being is that this will allow you to think about what are the right kind of interventions that might work. And of course, no intervention at all is perfectly possible. And what they tend to come up with is policy changes which are quite subtle, giving people more information, changing the defaults on whether you're automatically enrolled in a pension programme or not. And these are quite small things. They're absolutely not about big government. They're about better government, and actually quite often they're about smaller government.